Okay, we'll just pull up the iRacing. Okay, yes, in the UI you can join as a watcher, so that's what we're going to be doing. Looks like we have about 15 competitors so far.
Good to see.
I thought I would get a progress bar, which I don't see, but we are loading in, so it should just be a minute.
Yeah, I learned shortly into doing this, I needed to build some things into the front end so that there was just something going on, because I could never count on iRacing to load quickly.
Well, it's a little bit my fault because I'm not a big UI user. Okay, looks like I'm in. Now,
Oops, that's not a good way to start.
I should see this over iRacing live timing.
It's alright, that was my first lap. I was like, yes, I can fly.
You
What
mean that,
perfect
like,
timing.
overlay on top of iRacing?
Correct.
To do that, you have to watch it through OBS.
Okay. No.
So if you hit the studio
Almost.
button, it'll show you, it'll split the screen, so you can kind of click ahead to the one that's...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I got that. Is there a way to mute the drivers?
You're getting the radio chatter?
I can hear it, yeah.
Is that Control F9? One of them is turned... I forget with the F9, something like that.
Let me check.
Controls the radio.
For the love of God, step.
You know what? I have a knob. Might take me a second.
What's up,
I'll just
Matthew?
crank out until it's down.
How you doing, buddy?
Okay.
If you hit F10 and then you turn off the scan...
Okay. Right, because
Turns
I'm
off the-
still seeing, like, the window bar. Will viewers see that if it pops up? You know, the little message that people are talking?
If it's showing up in iRacing, you'll see it, yeah, but
Okay.
it's not really a huge deal. Plus, I think you can...
Oh, yeah. Voice chat muted, I think. And
There's
see
a
if that-
button for radio in SDK Gaming, so you should be able to show or hide if they're talking.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to throw on TV. Now I'm going to jump to race started, I believe. Okay. So everybody should be seeing this, correct?
And hearing us.
All right, great. Yeah, that's a little... Okay, that's small, but it's okay. I can... We'll deal. And do you need to see my screen?
No, I'm watching on my side here, so when you change the cameras, we should be good to go. So those of you watching out on YouTube and Facebook land, I see there's a couple of you out there. You probably hear Steve and I talking through this evening. So for the first time, I'm going to be the co-driver, and Steve Koch is going to take over the broadcast this evening. Steve, I'll hand it off to you, but let's assume that we're live and we got a hot mic in front of us. And we are at Sebring, and it looks lovely. How you doing, Sebring?
I'm doing good. I just want to apologize to everyone in advance. This might be a little bumpy. It is my first time, as Ian said. It's a little bit overwhelming. Ian and Jim sure make it look easy, but we're going to give it a go, and here we are. Audi GT90s at Sebring. I'm expecting a good race. Everybody should be pretty familiar with the circuit now. We've talked in the past, a lot of these guys are practicing for the Sebring 12-hour, which is coming up this weekend. We're going to be doing it in different machinery, but the circuit itself is really what I think is the key to learn, not so much the cars. Although these are tough cars to drive, so I guess we're going to see how tough as we go.
And I think it's fitting, Steve, you said it was bumpy in your intro there, or at least the broadcast might be a little bit bumpy, and I think as we watch here, as this Audi 90 coming down the front straight at Sebring, it is quite the bumpy track here. And
Yeah.
these Audis are a handful to begin with, and as we can see, I believe that's Clark Gorst from there in the UFO livery. It can be a handful.
Yep. I'm going to interrupt you for a second. How do we get rid of that guy, that box in front of everybody's screen there?
Which box is that?
I'm seeing the VRL Season 7 Audi GT90. Can we move that, or can we give somebody some... Oh, that's in SDK, correct?
Yeah, if you hit empty, it'll clear everything off. Over in the yellow display mode box.
Gotcha. All right. And it looks a little bit different. So Ian's probably rolling his eyes at me because we went over this last week, and he's been doing it for a while, so it looks really easy to him, but not so easy
Not
for me.
at all. It's not easy. I'm learning every week, and don't worry about it, Steve, because we're all in the same boat.
All right. So yeah, I've done a little bit in this car. Not nearly as much as a lot of the guys, but enough to know that it's a tough car to drive. It drives a bit like a front-wheel drive car, where if you're a little bit too heavy on the gas exiting the corner, it's just going to understeer. But these cars have a lot of power, 700 horsepower, and they're four-wheel drive. But each wheel can typically only do one thing, and that's go forward or turn. As in you also can't really brake and turn, so you have to manage that. But because the car has so much horsepower, it can get away from you very quick.
Steve, I'm going to interject for just a moment there. Over in your OBS, you make sure that you're on the live coverage, because I think we still have a loading screen up on the stream.
Oh yeah, I'm in the preview. Sorry. I'm sorry. Where am I doing that?
OBS?
Yeah, I'm doing that in OBS. Okay. Transition. Sorry, everyone.
And there we go. Looks great from my side.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Anyway.
I was gonna say, for everybody at home, there's a lot going on, and I have to get my machine ready for the broadcast, where all the settings have to be changed, because they're not going to be viewed as a driver, they're going to be viewed as a spectator, so everything's a little bit different. To me, it seems like a huge learning curve, but like I said, Ian and Jim have always done a great job and make it look easy for us.
Well, you're doing great so far, Steve. So, we're at Sebring. It looks like a beautiful day. The Audi 90s look excellent. Lots of nice liveries out here this evening. I think I took a couple of laps around here, and I pretty much had to get up and walk away because I just couldn't wrangle both the Audi 90 and Sebring. Sebring being a very challenging track, and if you watched the 12 hours last week, you saw just how tough it can be. But it looks like everybody's having fun out there so far this evening.
So these cars, you're talking about the switch from car to car. These cars are a little bit slower than the GT car. Well, it depends what you're driving. If you're driving a GTE car, they're a few seconds slower. If you're driving a GT3 car, they're probably not terribly different. But the way they make up their lap time is significantly different. Where these cars are very fast down the straightaway, don't turn nearly all that well. But the GT3 cars, they brake well, they turn well, they got ABS and traction control. These cars are a handful. They have nothing. So the drivers today may have some mistakes, but it's only our second week in these cars, and they're a huge handful.
It's kind of nice, Steve, just sitting here watching for a minute. I'm sure you're probably sweating bullets over there, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this Sebring track looks great. The camera views are excellent. I think a shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets. I think put in some new camera packs here, and it just looks great. Having just watched this last week, and it was a great race last week. Certainly exciting. I mean, the end of the race after 12 hours, top 3 finishers in DPI were within a second of each other. I'm sure our drivers out there this evening, and you're probably missing out being in the car, Steve, but I think they're very much enjoying it here, and these Audis look great running down the straight at Sebring.
Yeah, they're. I think we determined they're 30 years old. These maybe more. But yeah, they're great race cars. They're full-purpose race cars. They look like fairly stock-bodied, maybe with some fenders on them. But the motor, like we said, makes 700 horsepower. They're 4-wheel drive. They've got those unique wheels to cool the brakes. These were super state-of-the-art a couple years ago, and they're still great race cars. They're just not the GT cars we've been used to. That's all. They're very raw.
Yeah, very raw. Huge difference between. A couple of people have jumped back into the GT3 cars that are running at Sebring this weekend. And, I mean, you can see just how much these cars are squirming under braking there as we go into one. Very raw. You can hear it. You can see it. There's not a whole lot there. Basically, the steering wheel, shifter, and attack. It's a real pleasure to be driving this kind of thing here in iRacing, because you do get kind of used to the creature comforts of the more modern cars with paddle shifters and not having to clutch it and traction control and so on and so forth. This really takes us back to the cars that we're used to running in the real world in the vintage leagues, and where you had bravery, too skinny tires, and generally not enough horsepower, so you had to get going as quick as you could, as much as you could. Whereas the Audi here has the opposite problem, a whole lot of power, and you got to kind of be gentle with it.
Yeah, you mentioned the shifting, which obviously in the upshifts, going down the straightaways, that's one thing, and you have to use the clutch. Some people choose to lift out of the gas a little bit. It really depends on just your technique and what you feel comfortable with. But downshifting can really affect your corner entry, your braking, and trying to make that all happen smoothly and not overwhelm the tires is a major factor with these cars.
So it looks like Stefan, of course, took him a bit of time there, but he's now out on top. Of course, he could have just jumped in the session 2 laps ago, and the second lap puts him on top of the tower.
Yeah, I expect him to be quick every week. He's really gotten the handle of every car we've jumped in pretty quick, or at least faster than anyone else anyway. But I mean, he was very fast in the last season that we drove with the USF 2000s. He was very fast in the Skip Barber cars, and he was always in contention in the GT cars, whether it was GTE or GT3. Seeing Stefan go in the dirt, I mentioned these cars are 4-wheel drive, but it doesn't help. It's weird. You put 2 tires in the grass, and almost, I guess it tries to steer over harder because now you have 2 drive wheels on the pavement. That was something that surprised me.
Let's see, who are we looking at here now? This is we got Mac McCormick just behind.
Yeah, so will I have live timing yet? Probably not, right? I won't see intervals or anything.
Well, you should.
Okay.
Depending upon how you're displaying your screen there, you should have live timing either to the left or above, depending upon which way your buttons came up. So.
Oh yeah, I have it to the left, and I can't see much of it.
Yeah. So you'll see there's arrows hidden.
Yep.
At the bottom of the screen. Hit that one. That'll bring your buttons up from the bottom. It's a little easier to see.
Oh, I had to go over first. I get it. That is going to be helpful. Oh, that makes my life better. And now I can see all the incidents. Great. Yes, we have Stefan Vappa leading practice right now. Jim Karamanis in second. He's about a second and a half behind Stefan. And John Wood in third. Let's see if we can find John Wood. Here's John Wood in his BMW liveried Audi. all the corners at Sebring are a bit tough just because they're so bumpy. When you're carrying a little too much speed, just, the car kind of skips over the bumps, so wrangling it back in is just a tough thing to do.
Yeah, a couple of corners at Sebring I can kind of flirt with. Most of them I try to stay away from, though I do, you kind of get into rhythm, particularly this section here, just before the sunset, or not sunset, but for the Ullman Straight. It's just kind of amazing to sit and see just how much this car is moving, as much as, I'm seeing it visually as much as it feels like in the car, which you don't really get a whole lot of that in, the more modern stuff, certainly. This is the first car where it's felt kind of loosey-goosey, but in a good way.
Yeah. Sebring doesn't have many corners to hit, so the car wandering around really doesn't always seem like a bad thing. But at Sunset, the very final corner, you try to get tight to the wall when you go into the bridge, and just, the little bumps that can skip you left or right, and just the nature of this car, if you have a little bit too much rotation, it'll jump out and grab you. And I was really surprised just how long it took me just to find a consistent line around the track. Typically, I work on being precise and putting my tire within a few inches every lap. And I was happy if I could be within like a half a car length. It's just a very different car from everything else in the sim.
Just a moment, Steve, taking care of some stuff.
Sure.
My line. That would be Arthur. He says hello to everybody out there.
Hello, Arthur. He's excited about Sebring. I think everybody is. If you pay attention to this in-car, you can hear as he gets harder on the gas, gets a little bit louder, and the car just really accelerates and doesn't want to steer anymore when you do that, but it'll go straight in a hurry.
The nice thing about this, Steve, we can kind of experiment with some of the things that I've been meaning to experiment with, just always flying solo on the broadcasts here. I didn't get to really work on any of the other kind of neat things in the background here, but one of the things I'm discovering here is I can also hook into some of the overlay graphics components, so I should be able to kind of produce from
Okay, cool.
from the cloud here, so we can pull up drivers' names here. Let's also get the session time pulled up. I'm liking this, Steve. How much you charge per hour? Because every Tuesday night I got a standing commitment here. So.
Probably not enough. Well, actually, I probably owe you after the first couple weeks.
So Rob Hines here, and I meant to look up, I know Rob was out west doing some racing in the real world and some fancy fast cars at Laguna Seca, I believe, Noma, one somewhere out west, and he had a pretty good time of it. And then do we have Darren Treacle in the mix this evening? I don't see him out there yet.
He was, I thought he made a half a lap. I remember seeing his car, but he's not on the leaderboard, which means he probably didn't make it all the way around.
Yeah, I see him at the bottom of the timing and scoring here. Now, Darren would have just been at Summit Point just this past weekend, and I understand he not only took a win, he also set a new track record.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. In his Honda Civic, I believe.
Yes. Yes, another front-wheel drive warrior here. He and I have more in common the longer we know each other. So congratulations there to Mr. Treacle. We'll see how he does here this evening. Somebody hanging it way out at the start of the front straight there coming out of Sunset Bend. I believe that was Stefan, number 97. I occasionally peek on the iRacing website to see who's all online, and Stefan's been logging some hours, so he's getting ready for this coming weekend.
Yeah, so are a lot of people. I mean, as you're saying, you look to and see which drivers are on. I always I don't know why, because I rarely jump in them, but I always just curious to go look and see what's popular in the hosted sessions. And there's probably 25 hosted Sebring sessions right now.
I should probably be doing more of that if I'm being honest. I've been extremely busy in this last week and a half prior to Sebring, so not to say that I'm just going to come in cold this Saturday, but I'll be tepid at best.
So I think that seems to just be the way. You know, I have the MX-5 series, and I'm also doing a BMW league, and it just turns out they're all this week when I want to be getting ready for Sebring. But we started practicing just after Daytona, you know, because, you know, things aren't perfect. So I guess we have several weeks, months of practice in, and we're all very familiar with the circuit. So, you know, if you miss a little bit this week while, you know, you want it, hopefully it doesn't derail your race.
We got to figure out a way to do this for a living. So I guess that means, Steve, now that you know how to stream, we can all start our own Twitch channels and YouTube channels, and you can live the dream. Jimmy Broadbent, you know, getting a real live race ride this year with Praga. I forget what the British series is called.
Yep.
You know, but that's kind of a junior LMP kind of car, and I've been watching him getting ready for that.
I mean, it's really cool that he got that ride, but I think it's very impressive that he bought a house this year, and I think that all came from streaming. So, if that's the case, he's doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about him, but I very much enjoy, you know, his personality, you know, his delivery, the races, things of that sort. Looks like that's the end of practice, but yeah, I'm kind of hoping. He's amazingly quick in the sim. I'm going to think more than just a bit of that translates to the real world. So I am very curious to see how he does in the Praga. And hey, maybe he picks up a semi full-time real world racing job.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of streamers just because if I'm going to watch racing, I'd like to be doing it. But yeah, I've seen a little bit of him. I've seen a little bit of Matt Malone, and it's amazing to me watching them is how they can drive and read Twitter or whatever they read. You know, they have the stream coming in with people asking them questions, and they're just having full-on conversations. And I mean, I can multitask a bit, but it just seems like there's an overload of information when those guys are trying to make it around the track.
Yeah. For sure, I don't really know how they do it. I mean, you can tell Jimmy has certain tracks where you've got a bit of a straightaway. Sebring, you know, in the Ullman straight, you got about, depending upon what car you're in, you know, 15 seconds to a minute
Yeah.
to, you know, catch up with the chat. But yeah, I mean, Masters are doing a bunch of things at once, and they're not racing against slouches either. I mean, they're regularly competing against the paid esports professionals. So, wish I'd have thought of that as a career choice back when I was a young buck, but I think you and I are of a similar age. We probably had 8-bit video game systems, and
Yeah, I was gonna say streaming wasn't a thing, and I mean, I remember there was a point when TV, you know, we got like 30 channels at one point, and I was like, wow, this is great, 30 channels. And now we have millions of streaming channels to watch. Like, it's just a changing world.
That it is. We're out in qualifying right now. I forget what the setup. Oh, I got it right in front of me here. We're going to do 15 minutes of qualifying here, and kind of the way this works for folks at home, since you don't see other cars out there, everybody's out qualifying at the exact same time. But you're out on track by yourself, setting laps. Mike Kelly looks to be going for the rallycross quali lap here, as we're following along with him, probably trying to find a black hole somewhere on the track. Oh, I see. So they've already set their quali lap times and are just out having a grand old time. You can see they're having some fun with it. So we'll do 15 minutes of qualifying here, and then we're going to come up. We got back-to-back races here tonight at Sebring. Race 1, the grid set from the qualifying, and then race 2 is going to be the finishing results from race 1. Top 10 racers are going to be inverted from there. So it should make for some exciting times here at Sebring. Obviously, a lot of people have been spending a lot of time practicing here, and this course should prove to be pretty exciting for the Audi, I would think. Some nice tight sections, some challenging corners, but also opportunity to just put the pedal to the metal and see who's braver going into Sunset Bend or Turn 1. And I'll tell you what, Steve, as I've been practicing here, Turn 1, I don't think I hit it the same way 2 times in a row yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get close, but.
And it's the bumps. It's we've been logging all of those laps for the endurance event, and my goal is to be between I guess there's like a shoulder on the left side of turn 1, between that and the wall, which is about a car width, and if I get my left side tires in there, I'm pretty happy. And it's a struggle just because the bumps kind of make your car do something. It feels like a little bit different every time.
I'm curious to see how it is at night. I've run some late afternoon into sunset into evening sessions just to kind of get myself acclimated to it. Super cool in the car at nighttime with the in-car LED lighting and things of that sort. But I'm sure a totally different story when I think the splits are going to have 55 cars in them.
Yeah. So I don't think it's that hard. Sebring has those reflective markers, much like you see on the road, that follow the stripes, and I can kind of focus in on those and know what I'm looking for. But I think we're a 12-hour race. We're starting at 8. Only really the last 2 hours, I would imagine, are going to be dark or into darkness. So it really depends on which stint you're driving. I think you're in a car with 3 drivers, so if you haven't laid them out yet, it's probably better just to have one guy focus on the darkness and start practicing it, and not stress everybody out about it.
Now, are you, Steve, and you don't have to give away any trade secrets, so I'll just ask your preference to this. Would you rather start the race or end the race, depending upon your driver order? What's
So it's me, Stefan Vappa, and Darren Treacle, and I feel good just about all of them. It seems like I seem to get nominated in most things I do to be the first stint, but the field kind of spreads out after, let's say, 3 hours. There's a pretty good gap everywhere, and the first 2 hours, you're still, I would say, in traffic before everybody gets spread out. So anything after, the third or fourth hour, everybody will have a pretty decent gap, and they can get in the car and kind of find their feet for a lap or two. Where that first stint, you have to be on it. One, you don't want to lose any time, but more importantly, you don't want to wreck the car and you don't want to get killed. There's a lot of bad situations that can arise in that first stint. I don't have a preference, but I don't mind at all going first. And it's not that I'm okay with ruining everybody's race. I just, I accept that there's certain things that are beyond my control, and I'm gonna do what I can do. But beyond that, there's just some things are just, that's just bad luck.
Right. Yeah, and not that it always happens in iRacing, but it's been witnessed here over countless seasons as we have new cars or tracks and people getting acclimated to being in the sim, and generally there's the big one.
Yep.
And it's unavoidable. We don't have to necessarily worry about mechanicals because that's not really a part of the sim. Though I think I'm sure it's someday going to happen where you just like at the real 20 or 12 or 24-hour races, you got to be concerned about gearbox going out or various sundry other things. But so having not been there before, Steve, I'll take the opportunity to ask you any tips for I've never sat down, and I think as it works right now, I'm going to get at least 3 stints of about 2 hours each, roughly. What should I bring with me? Should I pack snacks? Bring drinks? Should I schedule a masseuse at the 6 hour?
Yeah. So I race VR, so it makes everything a little bit harder just to be comfortable. But I always have water, probably a couple of them, just water bottles that I can shoot in my mouth. I can't use a cup with the VR headset. And I also I do have snacks. I'll usually have it's a range. It could just be like apples to beef jerky or anything that's I mean, apples aren't great, but anything that's semi-dry that I can kind of like wipe on a napkin real quick. Nothing obviously too messy, but bite-sized things, I would say. But like Sebring has the backstretch. You can take a drink, have a small snack, get your hands off the wheel, because some people tense up, and if you're not used to long distance driving, and like you were saying, you do 2 stints at a time, you're going to be in the car for 2 hours. So just being able to relax during the stint, I find, is important.
I definitely have a problem with gripping the wheel too hard, particularly when I'm in kind of the thick of it. And I'm going to guess, despite us, the splits being based on high rating, there's still going to be fast guys in our group. And, it's a big track, but you're probably always going to have something to run with. I expect the GT3 class will probably be very well subscribed. So that's one thing I've got to concentrate on, is not getting into that kind of death grip too early, so that my hands are still serviceable once we get to, hour 10, 11, and 12, certainly.
Something I could suggest, and I've only discovered this recently, but my steering wheel has stitches right on my thumb, and they hurt. So I started wearing fingerless gloves, and I find that the gloves grip the wheel a little bit, where I don't have to use my fingers as much to hang on. So the material just does a little bit of the work, and I found that helps me be a little bit more relaxed.
Plus, you look like Billy Badass when you get up on the rig.
Well, I did the fingertip list just because I wanted to be able to find buttons. I don't know if it was necessary, but being a non-glove wearer, it seemed like a good idea.
So we're about 9 minutes into this qualifying session here. Currently following along with David Curtis. Stefan Vapp is out on top. Darren Treacle, currently at 2:04 or so. A little further back than we're used to seeing Darren, but he's probably just waiting for those closing minutes so he can put in a cracker of a lap.
Yeah, we've also seen enough of Darren to know that he probably didn't practice. So he's getting up to speed during this session, and... he's in second. It's not like he's doing bad. He's getting there. You know what I mean? And he'll probably even learn a bunch in race 1. So, he'll be faster in race 2 than he was in race 1.
I didn't look to check the session details here. I have to make sure the race chairman made sure to set this one for all in the daylight, since these cars don't have headlights.
Right. Yeah, they have those stickers, but that's about it. Yeah, it's... If Darren hasn't put much time in, it's going to be a steep learning curve. Him and Stefan are quite matched, you know what I mean, in most things after they get the feel for it. So he's still got a second and a little bit more to go. But, if he doesn't get there this race, he'll get a little closer for next race and the one after that. It's just kind of the way we've seen him do it. I think the Skip Barber season, Stefan had a bit of an advantage in the beginning over Darren, but Darren was able to close the gap by the time we stopped racing it. His complaining about the Skip Barber car, I don't think helped, but he definitely got there.
See, Matt Barber rocking a fancy new livery here on this Audi office service company. Matthew kindly sponsoring the prior season of the VRG Virtual Racer League, and also picking it up again this season. Some nice prizes Matthew put together. I know Stefan made the trophy and kept the trophy because he won it, but a couple other folks, most improved and the top 7 finishers received some new glassware and some other prizes. So thank you there to Matthew Barber and Office Service Company for putting that together for us.
Yeah, I've seen some of the things the guy were posting on Discord and the group's page of the prizes. They're pretty neat. I think everybody would be happy to have any of them, and most people are eyeing the trophy that Stefan made. He's had it too long. I couldn't believe how many times his name was on there. So I'm not sure, but I thought this was a 2-minute session, or we get to make as many laps as we can in the 15 minutes?
I think it's just 15 minutes. You only get 2 laps for quality.
Okay.
So
guys are just getting practice time in.
Yeah. Which, makes sense. Because I know, well, you can't wreck it, right? Because I think if you wreck it, that's it for your session. But if you don't wreck it, you can stay out there and turn laps as much as you want, which I didn't think until Stefan called that out. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I get my 2 laps done, and then I can go out there and spend some more time learning whether it's left or right.
Yeah, well, fortunately, like, there's not very many walls, so if you have a small off, you can keep going. But yeah, once you complete your 2 laps, iRacing will not repair your car.
And I know as we're watching Mike Kelly here come down onto the front straight, I had seen some talk about the rather odd feature to the track there on the front straight. And I know you had said to avoid it, you shouldn't be at that point of the track anyways. And I was, just, I think probably on either an out lap or an off lap or a cool down or something. And I managed to catch it. And it flung me, 100 yards up in the air. Out of nowhere. Don't really know what exactly it is about the physics of the track at that specific point. But boy, did it catch me off guard.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's a way for me to adjust the camera to get to it. But you're talking about the bend in the straightaway wall where it gets wider, and trying to follow the second part of the wall. A lot of people catch that little kink, and for whatever reason, it's a punishing one. You don't just glance off it; it'll destroy your car. I recommend to most people to stay wide, and then pick that up about halfway down the straightaway, so that when you get to that wall, you're going straight with the new part. Mac's going to pass it right there. You can see where it sticks out just before the bridge. And if you're going straight down the right side and you try to I guess apex around that thing and you cut it too close, it'll ruin your day.
There's something I was thinking about as I was watching some videos at Sebring. Dan Suzuki's been running some hosted sessions there for his Twitch camp to get used to the car. I believe Dan's going to take part Saturday. Who knows what split he'll wind up in? Probably not mine. But even at the start of the races where it's kind of just chaos there, I got to make sure I'm not up near that wall when that happens. If I happen to start the race, we haven't yet drawn lots or cast the die and found out who's actually starting off first in our group, but.
So you have a couple options, I think, and I would run. Oh, we're done with qualifying. Let's. I'll hold that thought to a little bit later. Let me bring up the grid. And on pole we have Stefan Vappa. I can't read those. How do you do it, Ian? Do you read the? Do you read it out of OBS? Where do you get your?
I do read it out of OBS.
Oh.
But my setup might be a little bit different. And right now I'm watching the YouTube stream, so I'll run down it. So we got pole position. We got Stefan Vappa. Outside of pole, Darren Treacle. Third position is Jim Karamanis. We got Bob Lang in fourth. Dave Curtis rounding out that top 5. John Woods in 6th place. We got Mad Mike Kelly in 7th. Rob Hines in 8th. Clark Orstrom in 9th. Ralph Padgington, the other half of VLB Racing, in P10. We got John Clark in P11. Kurt Uzbey's in 12th. Page over to the next one. Who else we got? We got Matthew Barber qualifying 13th in the Office Service Company car. We got Mac McCormick in 15th, and Carlos Bonds rounding out 15th place. We'll have to look to see what livery Carlos is running tonight. Looks like it's rather dark, not his usual pink Sanrio.
So while we're on it, how do I go to the second page of qualifying? How do I bring that up?
Over in the grid box, you'll see there's it's a red box with grid. There's a double arrow to the right, and that'll switch to the second page.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah. Gotcha.
And then hit the other one to go back.
Okay. So we got a long pace lap, it looks like, coming up. We're on the front stretch. We have to go all the way around. And who are we waiting for? Well, I hope we're not waiting for me, but I'm not going to be joining them.
I don't see on timing, so you must be in as a spectator, so we're good. So I'm not sure who else we're... Darren. Darren might be taking a bio break.
Yeah, so in the future I have to figure out a way because I can't read any of these screens. Oh, is this a standing start? No.
No.
Okay. I'm seeing lights on my end.
So yeah, this is going to be quite a bit of a pace lap here, folks. So if you're sitting at home and your glass is just rocks and there's nothing on it, maybe go pour yourself another 2 or 3 fingers. You got probably enough time to put in a bag of microwave popcorn. I myself am a big fan of the Act 2 microwave popcorn. As we're going to get a nice tour here. We got, looks like a record crowd down there in Sebring.
Yeah, the VRG brings everybody out.
It's certainly exciting. And I tell you, I watched it, and I luckily we had some friends hooked everybody up with track pass for IMSA. I believe it was Michelin sponsoring that, so that some folks can watch the IMSA races this season. So I was able to tune in and watch, about 6-7 hours of Sebring while I was working on building my new sim wheel. And I tell you, if I can make the trip next year, I very much would like to get myself an RV, park myself somewhere along this track, and sit back and enjoy 12 hours of endurance racing, because it looked like a great time.
Yes. I'm trying to remember who it was. I don't want to say the wrong name. I think it was John Wood was telling me that the guys in turn 10 are crazy, and that is exactly where you want to watch the race from.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
He said it's actually, so he said it's so well known, drivers come out there.
Well, there you go. Who knows who you're going to meet. We used to go to Mid-Ohio every August with my dad to watch kart IndyCar, and we partied outside of the S's, and always had a great time doing that. But now that I kind of race for real, not a whole lot of time to actually go to the track and just spectate. So hope to do more of that now that we can get out and about in the world and see cars on track. And if you keep it up with the MX-5, Steve, then you might wind up with a run in the real world with the MX-5 Challenge.
That is true, but that would be at COTA, Circuit of the Americas. It's a tough field, and I'm not counting anything, but but we're getting closer, that's for sure.
Betsy and I had the opportunity to go down to COTA and stay in Austin, a beautiful town. If you win the chance, and I believe you can, I highly recommend it. Thank you very much.
So we're on the back stretch. One more corner to go, and we're going to cut these guys loose. I think I see Stefan there warming his tires, and I'm sure he put the time in to figure out that is beneficial. So if I'm watching him do that on the grid, I'm going to duplicate. Or maybe he's warming his brakes. I can see the nose dropping. And pace car is going to pull off here. Green, green, green. Oh, oh. Stefan's having a bad start. It looks like everybody's having a bad start.
Yep, looks like back half the field there had a pretty bad start.
Yeah.
Well, we got
4 cars made it through. I'll follow these guys for a few corners, and I guess we'll jump back and see what exactly happened there. You know, I guess 700 horsepower. The gaps close up real quick. Wow. Okay, let's see here. Stefan. Okay, I'm not sure. So a lot of things happened on the right here. Let's try to jump in one and see what happens. Nope, we already missed it.
It looked like Mike Kelly might have gotten into the back of Stefan. That's at least who was first behind.
Okay.
That's
We're going to have to go to a blimp. Let's go to the blimp. All right, this is Stefan Babbo. Let's jump in the blimp again. Oh, Stefan didn't go. I wonder if he missed a shift. Yeah, with Stefan and then Matt Barber. It's like everybody kind of got a piece of it.
This car I found is extremely difficult to get to shift. Well, not that it's extremely difficult, but it's different from most everything else.
Yeah. Well, let's just go back to the front. I'm sure there's a live button here somewhere, isn't there? Oh, live, there it is. Okay. So let me jump up to the lead pack, which looks like Jim Karamanis is in the lead. Darren Treacle's in the pits, so he found some misfortune. So of the people I think who didn't have an issue, there's only 3. Jim Karamanis, Dave Curtis, and John Wood, and you can see them all in that camera shot. Kurt Uzbey is in 4th, but I believe he's the first one who pit and got back going again. Or maybe he didn't pit. I don't think he could pit that fast, unless he crashed before the pit lane.
And there were a couple of folks that basically somersaulted into their pit boxes.
Yeah. And here's the battle for second. So these cars seemed a bit drafty at Daytona, so there'll be a little bit during this straightaway here they'll be able to exploit.
Sunset Bend here, difficult by nature, and just so much time to sit there and think about it on the approach to it. And there's a couple of bumps there just before the bridge, which is kind of what I key off of to know when I can get back on the accelerator, because there's a pretty good yump at near the bridge.
Yep.
You know, in the Lamborghini and the GT3, pretty well certain it's planted. I haven't had to spend enough time in the Audi to know, because it kind of obviously is pretty bouncy here, as you can see.
Yep.
And it's pretty much like lighting off a solid fuel rocket booster when you hit that gas pedal. So
yeah,
you can be real certain you got all 4 planted before you squeeze the go button.
Yeah. So this course, you're going so fast down the backstretch, and then you get that right-hand turn. And in most cars, that right-hand turn's fairly fast. I mean, it's a big wide corner, but this car doesn't, turn like the newer cars do. It's not too far off. I think I saw we were going almost 70 miles an hour. But the issue where I found was you're kind of between 3rd and 4th gear coming off the corner, and if you're, really revving it high in 3rd gear, you got to, all the boost that the motor makes, it's going to be making full power. Where if you try to shift down to 4th, it's going to lag a little bit. So you're going to want to be heavy on the throttle if you're in 4th, just to try to get the power up. Where in 3rd gear, even half throttle might be too much if you're still trying to saw at the wheel.
I'm watching John Wood here with 203.698. Karamanis currently leading at 202.283. Looks like the back of the pack is joined at this point. Darren's still in the pit, so maybe he's waiting for that second race to come around. Nope, he's rolling off now.
Yeah, we have fast repairs, I believe. So I'm not sure why he would have been waiting.
working lap 4 of 12 here. Dave Curtis letting John Wood know he's there.
Oh, they're making contact. That was the main cockpit. This is the roll bar we switched to. I think you're not a VR user. You probably don't see a lot of it. Where when you're in VR, you can take a look around the car. And, I mean, it's just cool to do. You get, whenever you get a new car, you're gonna look around a bit. You see a lot of little details that you don't notice if you're on monitors. Yeah.
I know there's a couple of people I've been talking to who are picking up steering wheels and pedals and getting ready to come join us here in the VRL. If you're watching out there and you'd like to join us, it's, there's a bit of a buy-in. You gotta get some equipment and subscribe to iRacing. But once that's done, you can come out and, drive it into the walls, or perhaps have some natural talent for it. Get out there and eat the band, but certainly if you have an interest in doing this, and the weather's real nice outside and it's going to get better, and we're all going to go racing for a while, but when those winter months come, particularly for those of us in the Northeast, certainly don't hesitate to reach out, swing by the VRG's website at vrgonline.org and get in touch with us, and we'll get you hooked up with somebody and tell you everything you got to know about how to go virtual racing.
Yeah, it can be steep price-wise to get involved, but I think, as you're saying, once you're in, it's really not so bad. We have an off-track there. But once you're in, you kind of have it, and being racers, I'm sure you're going to want to upgrade and spend more money, but it's really not necessary to have a good time.
Not at all. Championships have been won on what would be, beginner and intermediate level kit, and just like in the real world in the race car, it's all about the skill and the time you put into it, and practice, and you can go out there and beat the big names, and who knows, maybe Red Bull Esports or one of the other professional teams will come knocking on your door and give you a fancy contract.
So my competitive nature doesn't allow me to do it, but I mean, when I first joined, I was terrible, and I just had a good time driving around, being around other cars, and not having to wait to race every few weeks, in the real world. It was nice to be able to do it, every night, every day if you wanted.
I mean, it kind of beats most things on TV, really, because you can go out and have a race, drive tracks that, you'd never be able to get your own car to. Over in Europe,
Yep.
You go run Spa and meet people from all around the world, and just like being at the racetrack, having a good, close race, and then congratulations there at the end. And certainly as I've improved, and I've not won anything yet, at least I don't think I've won anything that I didn't benefit from the mishaps of others. Just as much reward goes into it, as well as being consistent and setting those faster lap times.
Yeah, I think obviously there was a few circuits that I really wanted to get to when I joined the sim, and I enjoyed them. But I think there were circuits that I discovered that I hadn't even heard of that I think I enjoyed much more. And we've talked before, I really like Mosport in Canada, and I've seen it on TV, but I never really got a good feel for the flow of it and all that. But in the sim, it's wonderful. There's elevation and some really technical corners that you really can't appreciate until you try to do it yourself.
Yeah, and along those same lines, when I was working on upgrading my license, I was doing a bunch of running at there's an Oulton Park in Australia, and that's a great little track. Lots of fun elevation change, and like to speak to the realism in the sim, they've even got kookaburra birds. So as you're like sitting in pit lane, you can hear the that Australian bird sound that you're used to hearing. Or is it New Zealand? I guess I should look that up.
I think it's New Zealand.
Apologies, folks. I haven't left my house in a year. My geography is worse than it was when I was in primary school.
Yeah, I guess it was a few updates ago. They added those ambient pit noises, and they really give you that sense of immersion. You know, like your lollipop guy will just cough every once in a while. It's kind of wild to just be sitting there, in your basement, your extra room, or wherever, your garage, and to hear these things as if somebody's there. So we're on lap 7 of 12. Jim Karamanis has a sizable lead. If you didn't see the beginning, we had a bit of a mishap. We think Stefan Vappa maybe missed a shift, and he got collected by several cars behind him. I don't think we have anything too close right now in terms of cars on the track. Actually, we have right here, we have Rob Hines is following Michael Kelly.
Correct myself again. It's Oran Park.
Oran Park, yeah. Actually, I get those confused. There's Oran Park and Oulton Park.
Right. Oulton's in England. Oran's in New Zealand. I haven't done Oulton yet.
Yeah. I think Oulton is the one that looks like a go-kart track, and I don't believe it's there anymore. Oh, whoa, hang on to it. Oh, boy.
When they just added Knockhill, and they also added Hockenheim. Wow, great damage model here on the Audi 90.
Yeah, and it's, for people who don't know, this is one of the older cars in the sim, and you would expect there maybe to be some less detailed physics, but it's all right there. Let's see if I can find another battle on track. No, I don't think we do. Go to Dave Curtis, who's holding down the 3rd spot right now. Yeah, I'm not sure I have any advice for anybody who's struggling with this car. I guess it's just something you really have to just come to terms with. If you drive it gentle, I have a feeling you're just going to be slow. You have to keep the motor revved up, and you can't, you have to be in the proper gear at all times. Maybe don't push too hard into the corner. Would probably be sound advice, but yeah, it can very quickly get away from you.
And having never really driven a car with a turbo of any real substance, this is kind of my first experience with turbo lag, and you're sitting there and you're kind of waiting for it to get up and get out of its way, and then it happens and it's too late.
Yeah, you can't prepare yourself for it. I kind of think I almost feel that's a thing of the past. I feel like the turbos now are understood better, and the piping and the intercoolers and things like that. So I don't think the lag is as significant as it used to be.
So for the second race here, folks, we're going to invert the grid. So top 10 finishers, we're going to reverse those. So currently Jim Karamanis is leading this race. Sizable gap over second place John Reed, who we're watching here currently. Looks like Stefan's currently worked his way back up to 8th place. So he'll get to do it again here shortly when we get to the second 25-minute race.
think I remember Carlos Bond starting last. He's our he's made up the most positions, and he's sitting in 4th. I don't remember if he was one of the ones who got through the incident. He may have just been one of the ones who recovered the best.
I don't recall either. It was a bit of a melee there. Kind of a work stoppage on the front straight.
Yeah. I remember after the Sebring 6 hour, a few guys did the practice. There were a few videos going around on Twitter and Reddit of a race where about 40 cars just jammed up the front straightaway on lap 1. I didn't think our 15 car field could do that, but we got close.
We did. I was just watching probably the same or similar video of the buddies running crew chief, the other one's driving.
Yep.
And he's cautioning them as they're coming around Sunset Bend that this whole track is a calamity waiting to happen, and it happens on the front straight.
Yeah.
His buddy's doing 2 miles an hour as he's hunting and pecking through
Yeah,
it.
and the crew chief's just going, stop! There's just nowhere to go. Yeah, I like to think I'd be able to get through that situation, but you don't know until you're faced with it. It's tough to encounter just a blocked racetrack. It rarely happens, and I think if I see a gap, I think I'll typically keep going. But I've never actually experienced that, a total blockage yet.
Yeah, Carlos going with a very understated livery this evening. It looks to be a kind of a deep purple.
Yeah. I actually just checked to make sure trading paints was on, because that's very uncharacteristic.
And Clark Orstrom, who you see just behind there, wearing the UFO livery. Clark in the real world races a BMW 30 CSL that has that same BMW Luigi UFO livery. It's a beautiful car. Looks pretty good on an Audi as well.
Yeah, it does. Stands out. Matt Barber here in 5th spot.
Wrong race here for Matt. He took his time as he approached the carnage on green flag there, and able to benefit from it. Currently running in 5th. If he stays here, he'll stay in the exact same place for the next race.
Yeah, knowing what can happen on the front straightaway now, I'm not really sure where the best place to be.
Probably first or last.
Well, Stefan wasn't first.
True.
All right, yeah, I guess last, because that's where Carlos started, and he's in 4th, so. This is Kurt Uzbey right behind John Clerk, which is 4th position. I think that's our leader behind him, Jim Karamatis.
I didn't.
Oh, sorry, Kurt. I think that's my fault. Shouldn't have been following you.
Oh, the cameraman's curse is not just me.
Due to Kurt's issue, Stefan's up to 7th. And he's about 7 seconds now behind John Clerk. Second to last lap. Not sure he's got enough time. Although he is looks like he is still the fastest car on the track despite having to restart. Actually, we got Rob Hines on Michael Kelly. We'll jump back to Stefan if he gets closer. Let's jump back to Stefan Vappa. Oh, poor timing.
You heard us talking about it.
Yeah, I'm out to get everybody. Yeah, we do have a few close cars now. Ralph Padgington following. Is that Stefan?
I think that is, yes.
Oh.
The white flag is out. Race leader Jim Caramanis is working the last lap of this race.
He's got about a 16-second lead at this point.
Nicely done here by Jim. Racer Walsh co-sponsorship there on the ELB racing car. Two-car team here, Jim Caramanis and Ralph Padgington. Racer Walsh down in Florida, fixing up that car and driver Pinto. I think we're going to see Brian up at Summit Point for the Jefferson 500. That's coming up in May, so if you are in the Northeast and you'd like to go see some vintage racing action, head to Summit Point. May, I'll look up the date for that during the second race. Of course, we've got the Wild Hair coming up at VIR here very shortly with our friends at the VSCDA?
I don't know.
Well, there's the VDCA, so there's the Vintage Drivers Club of America, and then there's the VSCDA, which is another club, similar acronym. This would be Jim Caramanis coming around Sunset Bend for the last time, provided he doesn't have a whoops. He's taking this first race win.
Congratulations to Jim. And it looks like Carlos Bonds has now moved up to third. He was hanging around in fourth. But we're going to jump with John Wood coming out of the last corner, take second.
There's certainly a lot of drama there. First lap, just after start finish. Expect it'll be a cleaner one here in our second race.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to top the last start. I think we're going to be okay.
Nice drive here for Matthew Barber.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the lap times. We have several drivers who are in the 202, 203 range. I really think if we can get a clean start, we should have a very nice battle. And I think Kurt Uzbey here is our last car on track. Okay, I'm trying to bring up results. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, the timing and scoring generally has to run down from the timing tower there.
Okay.
Don't usually have enough time in the turnaround between first and second race, but you might get lucky.
Let's see. I clicked results. Does race give it to us? No, race is our regular race. Well, we do have probably about 3 minutes. So if you need a break, need a drink, take it now. We'll still be here.
That we will. You can't leave once you're here.
I'm going to leave it on the results, so hopefully if they do come in, they'll pop up. We have a few minutes. I can do the gridding when they get around.
Looks like our field is up. We are rolling off. There is only about 30 seconds between end of first race, start of second. But you may have access to the grid at this point, so you might be able to pull the grid
Okay.
up.
Yep, there goes. So starting first, we have Michael Kelly. Second position will go to Bob Lang, followed by Kurt Uzbey. Fourth position is John Clerk. Fifth is Stefan Vappa. Sixth, we have Matthew Barber. Seventh, David Curtis. Eighth place is Carlos Bonds. Ninth is John Wood. Behind him is race winner Jim Karamanis. Those are the guys who will all be inverted, and the guys in the back will start where they finished the first race. We're going to start with Rob Hines, Clark Ostrom in 12th. Let's see, I lost where I was. Then we have Ralph Padgington and Mac McCormick. And starting last is Darren Treacle. Whoa, I think we've already had an incident.
Darren Treacle going for the hard charger here.
Yeah, I'm noticing one of those cars has some front end damage. I guess that's Kurt Uzbey, car we were following. Yeah, I hope we can follow Darren a bit. He's definitely one of the faster drivers in our group, and starting last, it should be a little bit exciting. And we also have Stefan, who's going to be starting, I forgot what we said, 5th or 6th. So he'll have a few cars to get by. You know, I think he's shown to be one of the fastest driver out here right now in this machinery. He's acclimated to it the best.
While watching the live coverage, you can see where from last week the commentators have noted Sebring notorious for the bumps, of course, notably around Sunset and Turn 1, had mentioned that they're actually a result of rails still sunk in the pavement, I guess for the doors for the airplane fabrication facilities, which used to reside here.
Uh-oh.
Looks like Kurt, I saw a puff of smoke come out. I'm not sure if maybe
he's got that front end damage. I wonder if the engine blew up.
Might have.
I'm hoping that doesn't derail our start. Sometimes you can get a penalty for passing cars, but he's immobile, so. I see Stefan giving plenty of room. And we're green. Bob Lang's going to lead us into turn 1, it looks like. They're all fanned out. Michael Kelly takes the lead in turn 1. Stefan Vappa's already up to his long side for second, possibly challenging for the lead.
much cleaner start there thus far.
Yeah, happy to see that. Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with these cars. I don't know if they're trying to... Oop, Stefan's going for the lead already. And he's got it. As I was saying, I'm not really sure what the tire strategy is. I don't know if the tires have to come in or if you have to wait on them, if you can just kind of push right away. It's something we'll have to ask our drivers when we get them in the booth after the race. So Stefan's in the lead. We already have so Clark Ostrom's passed 7 cars. He's in 5th, and Darren Treacle 2 spots behind him. He's passed 8 cars.
So I think for most everybody here, race 1 was the practice race, and now we're doing it for reals. Everybody currently got their stuff together here. Like John Wood there tucked into the pits.
I see Bob Lang dropping down. I wonder if it was him. Bob Lang and John Wood. Okay. The cars don't look too damaged. I'm not really sure what their situation is. Oh, Darren Treacle loses it. I think he got a piece of Bob Hines.
I wonder if perhaps they got black flags for some reason.
Yeah, I wouldn't, hopefully not. I wonder if Kurt Uzbe's issue may have caused something for them. Yes, right now is the closest battle on the track. Oh, they all overshot this corner. Dave Curtis is going to try to take advantage. Looking for a roof cam. Do we have one of those? Nose.
Let's see. Do we have a roof cam? We've got the entirely unrealistic chase cam.
Yeah, I'm not going to use that. I don't know. I thought that's kind of a racing thing, a roof cam, right? You see the little bit of the nose.
Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't one.
Oh, Rob Hines overshot the corner.
They're not close behind Dave Curtis here. Well, off his mirrors, let's see who's going to get this going into 1.
Oh, looks like Darren's on the inside. Goes a little bit wide on the exit. Dave's going to try to come back on the inside.
Kind of gives you an impression of being in a very large boat and you're hoping it's going to come around. The GT3 and the LMP are kind of, knife edge the turn.
Yeah. And you're doing it all on your own. You don't have any assists of any kind in this car, which makes it that much more difficult.
Darren rather nimbly making his way through some traffic there up to 4th place now. And he did start from last position. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, he's up 11 spots.
Take the time to thank Treacle Insurance for sponsoring the Treacle Insurance Blimp here at Sebring International. Hope everybody out there is enjoying the coverage. We appreciate you joining us in YouTube and Facebook land. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and hit the little bell and turn on notifications when we go live. We do this every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, except for next week. We're taking the week off next week because quite a few of us are taking part in the Sebring 12-hour this weekend, part of iRacing. We're going to try to stream some of that for you this weekend. Not sure if it's going to happen because the broadcast booth in its entirety is participating.
Yeah. Well, we have 4 cars participating, 3 cars, so hopefully we'll have a lot of action to stream. But until we do it, I'm not really sure what the outcome's going to be. Leader Stefan Vappa's already come up on lap traffic. That was Ralph Padgington going a lap down. Yeah, it looks like Stefan's solidly in the 159 range. I don't think anybody else is even approaching that yet.
Now, you put together a video for this one, Steve. What kind of times were you in the neighborhood of?
You know what? I don't remember exactly. It was either a 150. It was either a high 159 or a high 158. I don't remember exactly. It was definitely sub 2 minutes. But I used the track conditions that you guys used in practice last week. I don't know if that's representative of what we're seeing on the track here today because 10, 20 degrees in track temperature can be several seconds in pace. So I don't really know where exactly I would fall, but I'd like to think I'd fall out front. But you never know until you're on the track. Like I said, I know Stefan's been putting a lot of time in here, and he does a great job. So to just assume I could come in and best him would be foolish, I believe.
I'm having to learn a lot about racecraft in the sense that taking in the environmental considerations for the races, particularly as we're planning for the 12-hour and what tire wear is going to be like, fuel loads, and how temperature affects all of those kinds of things, which is not necessarily something I would have thought would become as important in sim racing, but it's pretty cool. The Audi, I don't know that it has a ton of adjustment on it, but some of the the modern stuff, the GT3, the LMPs, you've got every knob you could ever want to turn on a race car to get the setup just right, and obviously some pretty realistic tire modeling going on here. So pushed out some updates. iRacing did this past week, changing. I think the tire model actually changed a fair amount for a lot of the cars that are going to be at Sebring.
Well, I don't know if the tire model changed in the sense that you're going to have to worry about the way it feels, but I definitely believe they wear a lot more, and whether or not that means they slow down in pace. But when we ran at Daytona, you could almost not change the tires, which I think is true at like tracks like Le Mans and things like that, where it's a lot of straightaways. Not so much at Sebring, but we're definitely going to have to change tires now. I would say every 2 stints, possibly every 3, but and if your car's not handling well, or if you've picked up some damage, I mean, I saw some guys online who were posting telemetry numbers where they just wore out their fronts in 1 stint. I mean, that could be driving style, but if you have a well-balanced car and you're a good driver, I think you should be able to do 2 with pretty good ease.
That's something I need to pay attention to. I got to do a couple of long stints here before Saturday and see just where my tires are at. My fuel consumption is I think the lowest on my team, which I guess yay for me. It probably means I'm not going quite as quickly as I could, or maybe I just somehow have a mutant ability to not use as much fuel as everybody else and still be reasonably quick. But the tires are the one thing I haven't really paid attention to given my driving style, which I feel, as I'm watching myself drive, is a bit a lot of sawing of the wheel.
and Michael Kelly goes off. He was holding down second. I think he maybe succumbed to a little bit of pressure from Jim Karamanis, who has taken over the second spot. So I've noticed that a lot of people focus on pace in these endurance races, and obviously you do want to go as fast as you can, but lengthening your stint time, as you're saying, you're very, I guess, easygoing on the fuel. If you can take an extra lap, out of a fuel stint, that might be less pit stops at the end of a race, which, a pit stop delta can be, 40 seconds to a minute. So, even though you may not be quite as fast, getting, 40 seconds to a minute every few pit stops, that could be very beneficial. I noticed in the latest BOP, which is short for balance of performance, they actually made the fuel tank smaller on 2 of the GTE cars. So, they're definitely taking that into account. It's a little tough, for all the racers to kind of test out all the different cars and see what their limits are. But, that's definitely something you need to take into effect. And if there's a car that's slower but can do 2 extra laps on a fuel tank, I mean, that might be, in the long run, the fastest car.
Yeah, because that's the one thing we do a lot of sprint racing here in the VRL. This is my first foray into endurance racing, but just like in the real world, we have these short races. You chuck 5 gallons in the car. I know my car, I got to refuel maybe twice in a weekend across 5 or 6 sessions. Mm-hmm. But here you got to start to think about those things a whole lot more in depth, and it's kind of funny because you can either do the sim racing as kind of just a fun hobby, or you can get very serious about it and put together some very involved spreadsheets to really maximize that. But in the end, to your point, Steve, it's a 12-hour long race, and to win it, you got to finish it. And if you can figure out a way to go just a little bit longer than the next guy, just like we saw last week, pit stop strategy in those closing hours can become crucially important.
So I just found a new feature of VRS, which is Virtual Racing School, and they have something called a Stint Analyzer. And I threw Stefan's data in there because I know he's good and he's been doing a lot of laps. And what I was able to do was compare his whole stint up against his fastest lap. And over a stint, which is about an hour, it's and this isn't a knock on Stefan. Stefan's great, but it says that if he was able to do his fastest lap every time, he would have saved 28 seconds. So, what that tells me is that we need to be more mindful of, not necessarily shooting for that fast lap every single time, but not making mistakes. Like being a half a tenth slow in every corner, to me is okay. You know what I mean? It's when you're a half a second off because you broke too hard, or you locked up a tire, or or you had a little bit of grass. So just being more mindful of those type of things is the the goal. I mean, I've always tried to maximize or minimize my time from pit stop to pit stop, and that's not always pushing as hard as I can, because sometimes when you push so hard, you take 2 steps forward, take an extra step back, and that's what you're trying not to do. But using that analyzer now is going to allow me to view that with a different perspective. And just, I don't want to say more carefully in a way that I'm going to be going slower, but just try to race smarter is what I'm getting at. Right. But yeah, it really took a lot of the guesswork out of trying to analyze what we're doing, especially in the long run, because, it's easy to focus on, a 1 or 2 fast laps, where it's the slow laps that are going to, help you move up and down the pack when you're out there racing.
Yeah, and I've been pretty focused, to your point, on quick laps, mm-hmm. and I'm having to readjust my mindset here to be, fast, but more so consistent, and decreasing the number of laps that are kind of, you throw those out because you drop a tire, or you lose your braking point.
Well, during a race, those are more important than the fast ones, because those are the ones that are going to lose you a bunch of spots.
Right, because then that guy that's distant in your mirrors is a whole lot closer in your mirrors, or girl, and and now all of a sudden, not only are you trying to concentrate on your line, you're also looking in your mirrors occasionally. Sounds daunting and full of anxiety, but it's actually quite a lot of fun, folks. I very much enjoy this, and I can't believe I didn't get into it sooner.
Yeah, I'm really kind of blown away by how much everybody was excited. We did Daytona and all the participation we have going forward here into Sebring. I've noticed a few of the guys in Discord on the weekends and seen they're doing endurance races, so that's pretty neat. And you know, there's a few skills you do need to learn. You know, as you were saying, we focus on the short sprint races, but just, you know, aside from pit stops, you got to worry about driver changes and managing your driver changes and knowing how long you're going to do a stint. And, you know, every driver kind of has their limit on what they can do, but, you know, what best is time-wise, you know, so maybe 3 hours is optimal for tires and fuel, you know, and keeping the driver in the car. But, you know, if a driver can't handle more than an hour and a half, you know, pushing him to 3 isn't going to work. So, you know, you really got to learn your team and kind of start ironing the bugs out. And you know what? I'm not expecting huge things at Sebring. I still think we're all learning as a group and learning each other. So, you know, the more we do, it'll just be better in the future.
Looking up the special events calendar for 2021, we got 12-hour Sebrings coming up. Bathurst was not too long ago, a couple of weeks back. We got a 24 hours in Nürburgring. That would be a blast. And of course, you can run the Indy 500.
Yep.
You know, which I think that would be pretty outstanding. We got a 6 hours of Watkins Glen.
We have to do that.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
And you know what? A 6 hour race, if we put 2 drivers in a car, we could easily have 6 or 7 cars and possibly, you know, start getting a few of them in each split.
And I mean, I love Watkins Glen and spending 6 hours there driving. And
oh, Matt keeps it off the wall.
also got a 24 hours of spa.
Whew. Yeah, that's so. People who aren't familiar with iRacing and Spa. Oh, that's gonna be ugly. Looks like Kurt got a piece of Carlos. iRacing will punish you for what we call off tracks. So every time, you know, a car goes in the grass, like we're seeing here, they get an incident. We don't track them in this league, but in special events they do. So Spa, if you know, has these huge asphalt runoffs, and the exits all the corners, and it's faster to go in them, but you get an incident every time. And in the past, iRacing's had, you know, drivers win with thousands of incidents. Lately, they've been cracking down on it, and like for Sebring, I posted today that we have to manage 50. If you get more than 50, you do a drive-through, and then every 20 after that. So, you know, tracks like Spa can be comical at times because of the run to the exits, but you know, you gotta observe track limits, and I'm not really sure how they're going to handle that this year.
Spa is one of those courses I gotta go spend some time with before I drive in front of other people, because I've watched it for years. I've not actually driven it. It's I tried Bathurst once. I had to very quickly walk away from that one.
So I was gonna say, I find Spa fairly easy, and I say easy as in it's easy to get around, not easy to be fast at. And I think it's because it's a fairly fast track, so your car has a lot of downforce, or not, you know, it has more at higher speeds obviously than at lower speeds. So I think that's a benefit. But Bathurst is just all that elevation makes it so tough. You know, the braking up the corner, up the track is different than basing down the track because you want your bias in a different place. And Bathurst is a street circuit, so it has a crown. And any of the crown circuits, like Long Beach we did, they're just a little bit tougher right off the bat. So Bathurst has all the things that make it dangerous. It's got walls, it's got a crown, it's got elevation. It's just a recipe for disaster. And to do an endurance race just makes it that much harder.
If that sounds like fun to you folks, in September of this year, Bathurst 1000.
Yep.
That's what, 600 some kilometers?
Yeah.
Or 1,000 kilometers, 621 miles of racing around Bathurst. So that's an endurance right there.
Yeah, I've always stayed away from the Bathurst races. I think I'd be willing to give them a chance now. But I don't know. It's you know, like, you know, if you're familiar with Bathurst, you know it's narrow and it's treacherous, and you know the racing part I feel like I can get my hand on. It's the lap traffic I mean, I might be the lap traffic, but you know, the last thing I want is trying to come over. I wish I knew the name of that corner, but there's lots of wrecks there in iRacing, and I don't need the leader flashing me coming over that hill.
Right. So we're in the final laps here, the second race here at Sebring with the VRG VRL. Currently watching Carlos Bonds running in 8th position. Stefan Vapp is out on top. He's gone purple with a 158.614. So I heard Steve talking and throwing the hammer down about the fastest lap around this place.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is our closest battle on the track, and we'll follow it till the last lap, and then we'll jump in with the leaders. Actually, I think that's our leader behind these cars. I think Carlos was doing a good deed and letting Stefan by.
Don't see a white flag out yet. No, there goes the white flag. Yep. So currently working on the last lap here.
Technical question. Is that calculated, or do we know it's 12 laps?
I think we know it's 12 laps.
Okay.
Just for those out there wondering what we're talking about, when we do time sessions, the overlaying the graphics can't necessarily anticipate, when last lap is. But when we have fixed lap sessions, then obviously it knows when last lap is, so it can show us when the white flag is there. And the drivers in the cars would also see the white flag.
It looks like Stefan's lapped up to about 6th place. Stefan Vappa, followed by Jim Karamanis. We'll jump into now. And he's had a great 2 races, first and a second. Probably the highest point scorer we've had here today. Michael Kelly.
Jim was really excited.
Yeah, I was going to say Michael Kelly, I think, has had 2 good races. We have John Clerk in 4th. Dave Curtis in 5th. Yeah, I think this part of the. I was just gonna say this part of the circuit's probably the hardest part. It's turn 2, 3, and 4, and 5.
Yeah, I mean very much rhythm and making sure you hit your braking points, because you go a little too deep and it just totally, you lose it all. And you need it in the run down to 7 here. And this is one turn I still fight with all the time. It's constantly understeering for me, so I need to spend some time practicing that.
So I just was working on this last night at a different circuit, but when you have that problem, try backing up your brake point about a half a car length. The odds are you're just trying to do too much. That left front tire is trying to turn, it's trying to brake, and that's why it's understeering. And if you could just get the car slowed up a little bit more, the car will turn more sharply when you get to the corner, and you really can maximize your drive out, because you're not focused on just getting the car to turn, which you're probably waiting on at that point.
Yeah, basically yes. So it looks like Stefan's crossed the finish line here, so he's taking the race in and is doing his celebratory donuts there in the ample concrete here at Sebring.
Yep, sorry Stefan, my rookie broadcasting here missed your finish. There we got Jim and Michael Kelly coming around the final corner.
That camel livery does look nice.
Followed by John Clerk and Dave Curtis. We have John Wood heading down the backstretch. I think this one's my favorite. I think his car's the favorite for mine.
I would agree. It just looks really sharp,
Yeah.
You kind of pretty easily swap out the badges there too. But him and Clark Orstrom both running BMW liveries known for BMW. Clark's even says it.
I think that's
Nice
about
drive
it.
there by Dawn.
But Matt Barber finishing. And John Lang coming out of the final corner. I think that's going to be it.
There you have it, folks. Second race done at Sebring in the Audi 90 GTO.
Let's see.
Pull a couple of these guys into Discord here so we can have a post-race chat in just a little bit.
Oh. And that's it. Those tires aren't letting go of him. So we don't get results afterwards either, huh?
You would. I think if you see over in the results panel there, you should see feature overall, and then
results. What color is it?
Well, there's a red box for results. I think also in the yellow display mode box, you can hit results, and that should bring those up.
Okay, so I'm hitting the yellow one. That one didn't work. Let me go to feature. Results. Oh, here we go. Stefan Vappa, 41 seconds out on the field. I think I'm going to have to start making better videos. Or not let him watch them. I don't know if he's getting any help, though.
There you go. Just hide the video from Stefan and let everybody else watch it. And for those wondering, we do have points for this league. Unfortunately, I haven't set them up so that they show up in the overlay, but we'll get those corrected for our third race, which is at Summit Point here in 2 weeks' time. But there you go. Your finishing results here for the second race at Sebring International in the Audi 90 GTO.
Yeah, we had a rough start to race 1, but race 2 went much better. And, I'd love to say we could have closer racing, but it's just a tough car. It's not going to lend itself to close side-by-side battles.
But a ton of fun for the drivers. I know Caramanis was real excited to get this car for the VRL, and I think everybody else has found that they really enjoy it. And to your point earlier, Darren, who really didn't like the Skippy, I think does very much enjoy here this Audi.
Yeah, there's a few cars in the sim that just they're not great in terms of putting on a show, but they're just wonderful to drive. I mean, you could hot lap this car by yourself and have a good time. We were talking before, I do the MX5 league, and I get great races out of it, but I would not want to drive it by myself. there's just no fun in it.
No, not really. I'm gonna drag those guys here in the broadcast booth, Steve, so you can go ahead. Stretch that out, and we'll bring them in. Look at Jim, Mike Kelly, Stefan Vappa, Jim, Mike, Stefan.
Hello.
We're in the broadcast booth with Steve and Ian. This is Steve's inaugural broadcast here tonight. He's driving this bus, and he's doing an excellent job, Jim. So I think that means you and I get to do a whole lot more racing. And Stefan, you might not have that Challenger constantly haunting your mirrors here if Steve takes liking this broadcasting gig.
Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know who I feel like. I was gonna say for the wind tunnel guy. What's his name? I forgot his name.
The wind tunnel?
Dave
Despain. Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like Dave Despain, but not as good or not as famous.
Oh my, that's great.
So guys, I guess we could start with Stefan. Your first race didn't go well. Did you miss a shift, or is there something more we need to know about?
I missed all the shifts.
Oh boy.
There were no shifts happening. I've been trying to develop a technique that will allow me to not miss shifts so much. And, I didn't miss a shift all the way through practice and qualifying. It went perfectly. But the one instance that I hadn't practiced was that sort of a start. I almost always practice a start. And we did practice it in our practice race on Thursday. Mm-hmm. But I just did it differently somehow. And it went from first to neutral before I even hit the gas. I don't know what my hands and feet were doing. It wasn't good. So I ruined almost everybody's race in one fell swoop. I apologized profusely. Felt so bad about that. Sorry, guys. But I haven't messed up a start in the entire time we've been doing this. So give me one.
Yeah, it was spectacular. If this was bowling, I mean, you almost had a strike. I mean, I think you got 11 to 15.
Yeah. I figured, well, there's always the second race, and I probably took out most of the field.
Yeah. Four cars made it through.
Yeah. Right. So 10th was achievable.
Yeah. And your second race.
Driver.
So your second race went well.
It did. That was so I was starting inside of second row or third row, which isn't too bad of a place to be. Was able to stay inside where it's generally the safer lane, and I got at least one, maybe two, by turn one or just after, and then I forget what happened to, I think it was Rob, or maybe Kurt, but I got up to behind Mike, and he missed a shift going to, I think, fifth gear. So he swings across the track, and it took me a second to figure out exactly what was going on, but I just barely swung behind him. But after that, it was clear sailing, and then I was able to kind of get in the groove that I had wanted to be in all the whole time.
Yep.
And finally put in the laps that I knew I could put in. So I felt sort of redeemed at that point.
All right. Jim, probably your best night you've ever had, first and a second.
So I was channeling my inner Fikachi, maybe where we're trading places tonight. I hope that helped you a little bit with the broadcast. No, I don't know if most of the fans know this, but you of course race in a pretty big deal series every week, and I was thinking how you were saying that one of your best nights was when you're absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really sleep at all last night. I just had one of those insomnia nights.
Yep.
And crazy day at work, and then I went and rubbed on my boat for several hours, and I got home just in time to take a shower and sit down at the sim. And I was talking to my teammate Ralph Pagington, saying, I don't know if I can keep my eyes awake. I don't know if this is going to happen tonight. So I was pretty surprised by the pace in practice and qualifying. It was better than I thought it was going to be. When the race started, I figured Stefan was going to check out. I knew I didn't have anything for him, but I thought I had a chance to stay with Darren. So I was sort of excited to just try. And then that missed shift, I got a 4X at the start of that race. I don't know how I got around Stefan without taking both of us out. I know Darren got a penalty because he passed Stefan before start finish. So by the end of lap one, I was in the lead, and I'm like, well, this is new. And I got to control the pace for the entire race. John Wood had a terrific race, but I just sort of managed the pace to keep the gap to about 15 seconds the entire race. And it was the longest race of my life. I felt like it was an hour long. I was just telling Stefan that before we came on air. But yeah, they're very exciting, very rewarding. Took a year for it to happen. I'll take the monkey off my back. And race 2, I started 10th because of the inversion. I think after lap 1, I think I was up to 3rd. I had a terrific start. And Mike Kelly and I had just a terrific battle. It seemed like every time he made a mistake, I missed a shift, which meant I couldn't get around him. And he was just driving great. And he made one little mistake, and I got by, and that was the end of it. But good fun, Mike. Good job tonight.
Yeah. I was going to say congratulations. And while we're talking about the beginning of race 2, I think we saw Kurt Uzbey blow a motor before the race started?
Yeah. So Kurt's in the left-hand lane, and we see smoke, and Stefan says, "Did you blow your motor?"
Yeah, so I want to say in the hairpin, I think he hit the back of someone because his front end was damaged on the pace lap. So possibly it blew it from that. Maybe he missed a shift. I don't know. We just, from the booth, it's hard to tell, but we saw smoke, and fortunately it didn't seem like it ruined anybody's race. I was worried people might get disqualified for passing him before the start.
So I can speak to that. So I was on the pole because I finished a miserable 10th because I was the first one into the rear of Stefan at race 1 as the two cars in front of me split him, and I couldn't see through the chassis. So, here I had a dead car in front of me. I tried my best to miss him and ended up wrecking everybody. So that was no fun, but it happens. And it's
Yep.
virtual, so no one was out any money. So, and then race 2, so I started on the pole, and I was trying to get temperature in the brakes coming into the first hairpin.
Yep.
And I passed the pace car and slammed on the brakes. And I didn't think anyone was going to follow me past the pace car, but I guess Kurt did and got into me. So I told him I owe him a beer, and I was sorry, but it resulted in a blown motor. But yeah,
Okay.
so that one was on me.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, these cars, what we've discovered about them is they are strong on the sides, they're strong in the back,
Not
but
the front.
they are incredibly weak on the front. If you hit anything with the nose, it blows the motor in short time after that.
Yeah, I think there's all that turbo piping and things like that. It looks like we saw a car or two driving around with no hood and fenders, and the front's pretty busy.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff up there. A lot
So-
of important stuff.
Mike, your second race went pretty well. Do you want to talk about it? Your second race?
Oh yeah, it was much better. Like Stefan said, we had a good start once the pre-start drama was over, and I was trying my best to stay in front of him, but I missed the shift into fifth, as he called. These cars, I don't know what it is about them. Is really you have to really make sure you get that shift done, and if you miss it, it's really hard to find the gear again. So after that, Jim and I had a great duel, and I got distracted staring at Ralph's rear end. I'll blame him because as I told him, and just made a mistake, and it was I kept missing shifts after that. I was closing the gap at one point, and then I just blew it again. But that was a great race with Jim, and props to him for keeping it on track.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys are our top finishers, and you had a great race. If you have anything else, just let me know. Got anything you need to say?
Sorry.
Well, it was great because we have there's some famous sayings in the league that go on between the racers, and one of them was Stefan saying one time, if anyone hits me from behind, I'm gonna punch you, bro. And someone made that comment tonight, sort of in jest, and next thing we know, everyone hit Stefan in the
I guess now everybody's got to hurry up and jump back over to their Sebring 12-hour car for this weekend and work out the Audi 90 so they can make sure they're ready for Saturday morning.
Well, I was going to say, we've all had so many laps here because everyone is practicing for Sebring. We've had them in different cars, but, it still translates, and I think that made the race tonight interesting. This car is very, very difficult to drive, and I think the fact that people were able to keep it on track is because of all the laps we've had in Sebring 12 practice. But, yeah, we're looking forward to the 12 this weekend.
Yeah, it's surprisingly similar in terms of your points that you have, your braking points and stuff. The real difference is you back up the braking a little bit, and you have to slow it down at the apex more, and you really can't get on the gas as early. I had a couple of whoa moments in race 1 when I had lost my rhythm. It was getting on the gas too soon, and with this car, it'll just light up. I don't know whether it's doing rear tires, front tires. I don't know. All 4 tires.
Yes. And it's glorious.
Yeah, it's amazing what this car can do. So you just got to treat it with respect. But it's quite interesting to see just how close the braking points actually are between this car and the GT cars that we're going to be driving this weekend.
All right. So we said before we're going to try to get some streaming from the race. We have 3 cars in the race. Mike, you're not driving a car, Mike?
I am not. Most weekends, starting from early March, I am back at Summit Point, working, instructing, driving, racing. So y'all have fun, but I'll be playing in the real cars. So.
Well, the other four of us and many others will be participating on Saturday, and like I said, hopefully we'll have some streams for you.
Yep, keep your eyes on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see what we can pull together. I don't know if we're going to be able to get everybody since we'll probably be in different splits, but maybe we can get some in-car views from a couple of our drivers and we can touch base throughout the course of the 12 hours. But hey, I'd just like to take the opportunity tonight to say thanks to Steve for stepping up and jumping into the deep end and running the stream tonight.
Yep.
I had a fun time sitting back, relaxing. Next time I'm going to pack a cooler of beer and just put my feet up and talk every now and again. But congrats to you guys tonight. Stefan, nice drives. Mike, Jim. It was a lot of fun sitting here watching and enjoying it. It looked great. And kudos to you, Steve. You did a great job.
Yeah, I'm going to apologize just in case it was terrible, and I promise to get a little better next week. Not a lot better, a little better. We're going to go a little bit at a time here.
I'm sure you were great. Thanks for taking this on, Steve.
Yep, no problem.
You're a brave
All
man.
right. Thanks, everybody. I'll kick you out, and then Steve and I can wrap up on the stream side. So everybody have a good night.
Sounds
ya.
good. Good night.
Thanks. Good night.
So,
All right,
Ian, I was going to say, I don't know if we can expect much closer racing, but it's definitely exciting racing. I mean, the guys are going to all come to terms with the car a little bit, each week. And, it'll be entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we're going to Summit Points, the next track, and everybody knows that very well here in the VRG.
Yep.
So I think, we're not going to have to worry about learning where we're going, and we're not going to have the pitfalls that Sebring presents to us. So to your point, I think it's going to be that much better and closer and exciting.
Yeah, so the next thing you guys got to look for is our Sebring 12-hour race. And like I said, hopefully we can have a couple streams for you, maybe for the whole 12 hours, assuming we don't meet early demise.
Yep. So for those watching, that kicks off at 8 a.m. Saturday morning. I think we've got about 40 minutes or so, and maybe green flag drops at 8:40 or 9 a.m., something like that, and then we're going to run for 12 hours. So we'll figure something out. Worst case, I'll stream from my cockpit, and you can watch us as we crew chief. But I'm going to try and put together a little something special, maybe automate this whole thing so you can at least tune in throughout the day and catch a bit of the Sebring 12 as the 3 VRG teams take on Sebring here. So, Steve, thanks again here this evening. And I guess we're at that uncomfortable point where I tell you how we're going to exactly hang up here, but it's pretty simple. Once we're all done, you just hit that stop streaming button, and we'll just let everybody know next race will be at Summit Point. We are off next week. We're taking a break after Sebring, but we'll be back. What is that date? It's going to be April 6th.
Yep.
At Summit Point in the Audi 90 GTO car. So, Steve, thanks. Kudos. It's all up to you. You can sign off, and if you wrote your tagline here, now's a great time to debut it.
Did not, but thank you for all your help. I'll probably need your help again.
Quite all right. Thanks
all
again,
right.
Steve. You have a good Tuesday night, and everybody, thanks for joining us out there, Facebook, YouTube. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the notifications. We appreciate you joining us here every Tuesday night at 8 with the VRG VRL. And this is Ian Wisbin.
And Steve Ficacci, signing off.